That's a long-ass show. That was fascinating. That little minor detail that these ICE officers who killed the comrade prevented a mass shooting. You will not see that anywhere in the news, I promise you. We just averted a major catastrophe that was spurred on by Antifa. Antifa almost facilitated a mass shooting that would have dwarfed any Heather Heyer, Charlottesville, any of these other things that they pretend is so prevalent. No mention of that. And we can't bring it up because we've been censored. So we're taken out of the conversation so they can control the conversation and keep Antifa, their paramilitary wing, safe. Peak clown world, and a dangerous clown world. It's Attack of the Killer Clowns here in America. Speaking of band, I also want to talk to John Lott, our regular gun expert here on the show, our resident gun expert. He's always so sort of tired, and I'm not saying that he's lazy or anything, but he keeps getting battered with all these myths that he's dispelled a million times, and then they keep coming back. Just like the whole thing about Americans are working 3 jobs. We've heard that again and again. Cortez said it. And you sit there and go, that's not possible, that you wouldn't be able to sleep. And 2 jobs is incredibly rare. Something like 1% of the population works 2 jobs. 95% of the population, I remember hearing, Walk Don't Run Productions does great videos on this. 95% of the population has 1 job or less. Anyway, John Lott was talking about the New Zealand shooting recently, a shooting that wasn't averted. And he dared to point out that this shooter was not really right-wing at all. He was definitely racist or white nationalist, but he wanted to spur gun control. And what did he say? His manifesto says that he did the attack to get more gun control bans in New Zealand, and I can't read it because I got the camera in the way.
And the U.S. killer was a socialist, environmentalist who hated capitalists and trade.
Oh yeah, he might not. I don't think he was even racist. His problem was overpopulation. Overpopulation. There's too many people. Anyway, just like John deleted his tweets so he could continue conveying information. John Lott, I don't think, is going to delete his tweets, so he's off Twitter until he takes down this hate fact, which he refuses to do. So let's talk to him now. John Lott, are you there, sir?
I think so. I think I'm still here.
We speak quite regularly because you're the resident gun expert, and almost on a daily basis, there's more insanity going on. Now, the latest is that you've been suspended from Twitter. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm a horrible person.
Are you banned or just temporarily banned?
Well, I can remove the tweet, and then I'll be able to tweet again. But basically, it would kind of acknowledge that I put up something that's wrong. And, I'm still trying to have them explain to me what I did that was wrong. I had a tweet that was put up in March about the shooter at the New Zealand mosque. And basically what I said was the guy is a socialist, an environmentalist, hates capitalists and free trade. And I also mentioned that he believed that his attack would lead to more gun control in New Zealand and the United States. You know, as far as I know, everything there was exactly what he was saying in his manifesto. And you look at Twitter, there are all sorts of people saying what I thought was wrong, and in quite vitriolic terms, and nothing seems to have happened to any of them. They, the notion that the guy's a right-winger seems to come from the fact that if you're racist, you're a right-winger, and as if socialists and environmentalists can't be equally racist. So this guy, he doesn't like third world type people coming to European countries like New Zealand or Australia, because third world people have lots of kids. and kids, if you have lots of kids, that will destroy the environment. So this guy's racism is based on his environmentalism. And but somehow, just because he's a racist, that means he's a right winger.
He must.
And lots of people blaming Trump in really hyperbolic terms. None of their tweets have been locked up like this. I mean, I can't even send private messages to anybody with the system. But the notion that this guy's a right winger, right wingers normally don't go and say, quote, conservatism is dead, or that global capitalist markets are the enemy of racial autonomous. I mean, this guy thinks that we should all produce everything on our own. We shouldn't engage in any type of trade. I could go on, but it's like this guy isn't moderate on anything. He isn't what I would regard as free market on anything.
That's Antifa's politics, too. This idea of farmers making the food for their rallies and like being isolationist to the point of you barely leave your state.
Right.
So exactly what he wanted to happen happened. He wanted more gun control, and he got it. And all you did was point out those essentially hate facts.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of disturbing that you have politicians like the New Zealand Prime Minister will go and declare that the guy's a right winger. Obviously, she's a left wing politician.
Right.
And then ban people in New Zealand from being able to go and read the manifesto so they can find out for themselves whether or not she's being accurate, and essentially ban the press there being able to go and talk about what was in the manifesto. But, it's what else? I mean, I didn't link even to the manifesto in my tweet. I had a few quotes on our website that I linked to so that people could get some flavor for where the guy was coming from. But, it's disturbing that you can have all these other tweets. And I've asked them about it when I first got the message. They say you have violated our policy for the following reasons, and then it's blank.
Yeah, they did that to me when I was banned. I just think this is a huge step because I understand I'm banning this because that opinion is offensive. I'm against that, obviously. I'm sure you are too. But that's one level. This level of hate facts, that's like the Canadian Human Rights, CHRC, whatever they're called, Canadian Human Rights Committee. They said that hate speech can include things that are factually true. Now we're against facts. Now we're against math. Now we're against truth. And if you're against truth, well, that's the dictionary definition of propaganda, is it not?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm very concerned. I don't know how people are supposed to have discussions on these things. One of the big kind of, I guess, claims by the media is that these mass public shootings are done by right-wingers. Well, we've gone through, the Crime Prevention Research Center has gone through and looked at all sorts of things about these mass public shooters, including their political views and their religious views. And the point is that something like 70% of these mass public shooters have no political views.
Right.
At least none that you can find. You can't find their political party. You can't find anything else. Now, are a lot of them racist? Yeah, well, a lot of them are racist, but the media seems to say that if you're racist, then you're a right-winger. Yeah. And I see no evidence of that, but that's the way it's classified. And the media just gobbles it up. If the Southern Poverty Law Center, or whatever they're called, goes and classify these people as right-wingers, then as far as the media has been concerned, that must be what they are.
I've even seen them do it with Muslim, like ISIS. They'll say Muslim conservatives throwing gays off buildings, Muslim right-wingers. Well, yeah, I guess. Hey, last question. So he wanted more gun control in New Zealand. He got it. They did a buyback. But I've seen conflicting stories on the buyback. Daily Caller says it's just a handful, and the left seems to think it was a massive success.
Right. Well, my understanding is that they've had trouble with it, and the reason why they've had trouble is the guns that they're requiring that people turn in are ones that they didn't have registered beforehand. I mean, if you're going to confiscate guns, it makes it a lot easier if you've required people to register the guns, because then you know who owns them. And you can go to them and say, we know you have these guns, give them to us.
Right.
And
I see.
So, maybe they've had a surge since then, but I kind of doubt it. They're paying relatively little for these weapons, maybe about a quarter or a third of the original purchase price. I don't think the government really cares how much they're doing. It's more like a fig leaf that they're using to go and say, well, we're compensating people for the cost. Their goal is just to take them away. I mean, the bad thing also was how quickly the law got passed. And if you read the law there, it's kind of nonsensical in parts. They talk about banning, assault weapons, and then they talk about banning semi-automatic guns as if these are two separate things that are going on there. And, I don't know. I think it's one of these things that a lot of the people who were writing these laws didn't know what they were writing about. It's not uncommon. And, they put it together very quickly and really didn't even have public comment on it. That's another thing that you often see happen after these attacks. The notion is you have to go and get the law passed quickly before people really have much of a time to talk about it.
People who want to ban guns don't know about guns, generally. John, thank you very much for coming on the show. Let's have you back next time there's a major error or violation of free speech, which will probably be tomorrow.
Right. Maybe this afternoon. I appreciate you being there. I guess my attitude on all this is we can at least try to embarrass Twitter or other social media outlets. I'm not a big fan of regulation. Regulation, I think, usually is used in these industries in order to entrench incumbent firms.
Yeah.
And I'd like to hope that we can get entry and other changes can occur. But at least we have people like you that can help embarrass them. So I appreciate you being there.
Right on, John. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.